Hey, what up y'all? Nurse David here, coming at you from the den, and today I want to talk about some things that you should know prior to going into nursing informatics. Now, I've been working in nursing informatics for the past 6 months, and there are some things that I learned along the way as I went through schooling and went about finding a job, and I want to share those with you. But if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe. It really helps me out, but yeah, let's get into it. The first thing that I will say that I knew but I didn't really think about too much was that you do not need your master's in order to get a job in nursing informatics. You can get a job in nursing informatics with a bachelor's degree in nursing. Now, I wanted to get my master's in this just because at that time I was really into schooling, and the guy I was meeting with said that this would help me be more competitive with my job. But I do know plenty of people, and several of the people on my team who got hired the same time that I did do not have their master's degree. One of the pros about this is that you can go and get a job in nursing informatics, and you can determine if this is something that you like or something that you are not a fan of, because it is very, very different than bedside nursing. So if you're on the fence about getting into the field, maybe try finding a job with just your bachelor's to begin with, and if you like it, then you can go for your master's. The second thing you need to know is that when you're looking for a job, these organizations want experience. Now, this was very hard for me just because I was a bedside nurse. Working at the bedside, I did some clinical practice where I had nursing assistant students, but that wasn't nursing informatics experience. So one of the main things that I did in order to get experience is I reached out to our nursing informatics team at my hospital. I had no idea who they were. I had never met them, but I asked around, got a contact, and just blindly sent them an email. I asked them if I could shadow them for a day, and when I did, I really bombarded them with a bunch of questions as like, how can I get involved in this field? What kind of projects can I do for you guys that will give me experience and stuff that I can put on my resume? Well, one of the main things that they mentioned to me was become a super user. Now, super users are bedside nurses, for example, who help implement change. If they're making a large change to the way people document in a certain way, this might call for extra help, which they call super users, and which I did for several projects. But I would round throughout the hospital. Instead of working my bedside shift, they would allow me to round throughout the hospital and provide teaching on that. And that's a great way to get experience in the change process, but also a great way where you can add experience on your resume. Now, I've gotten many questions asking, what if we do not have a clinical informatics team, a nursing informatics team? How do I go about getting experience? Well, one of the things that I did was take on a lead project on my unit, and this can be with the pulling of data, but you kind of look at data and you go through with making a change and you pull the data afterwards. This was a lead project that I did. It also led to some incentive, if you know what I mean, but this was something that I was able to put on my resume. The third thing you should know about nursing informatics is that the job market is super competitive. It can be a struggle finding your first job. And I guess I did know this prior to going in, but it's not really until you're there searching for a job yourself that you fully realize this. Now, the main barrier is not that there's a lack of jobs, because there are positions out there. They may be titled in different names, which you'll find out really quickly, such as my current role. I'm a RN clinical support analyst. Now, reading that, I would have never guessed that that is nursing informatics, but if you read the description, it is. But it's not that there's a lack of jobs, it's that the organizations hiring, the hospitals, they want people with experience. And not only bedside experience, that's pretty much obvious. They want people with nursing informatics experience. So going back to my first tip where I said you do not need your master's degree in order to get into nursing informatics, I will say that having your master's degree makes you a lot more competitive in the job market when they're looking at your application. When they're looking at your application with no experience but a master's versus someone with years of experience and potentially a master's as well. Tip number 4, which is not necessarily a tip because this is not a tip video, this is things you need to know. So thing number 4 is that most nursing informatics jobs are salaried. This is different from your bedside workflow. You know, you're working hourly, you have the opportunity to work overtime. There is generally not opportunities to work overtime. Generally, your pay is in a salary range. And when it comes to schedule, because I feel like this relates, it's generally 5 days a week. This was one of the hardest things for me to wrap my head around. I would get to overthinking whenever I thought about going from bedside into informatics, is going from my 3 shifts over to 5 shifts, but it really depends on what you want. Now, there are places that will offer 4 10-hour shifts. I personally have not seen very many. I think I saw one when I was searching. Just because Monday through Friday are general business hours, and for application type support, which is informatics and changes, typical office hours is how they operate. The last thing I think you should hit on before going into informatics is don't let this thing hold you back, which is if you're not computer savvy. To be in nursing informatics, it's not about being able to code, being able to build on a computer. You do not even have to be that tech savvy. You will learn that on the job, but you do need to have that background experience of what being a nurse and working in the hospital and in the hospital type setting is like. That is what nursing informatics is all about, is taking your clinical experience, your experience on the doctor's workflow, the nurse's workflow, how healthcare operates, and bringing that to a technology side. There are routes where you can go to get more build experience, as we call it, coding and getting more into how you build applications within the electronic health records, but for your starting position, you do not need to be tech savvy. If you have a good understanding of how healthcare operates, this type of knowledge is what nursing informatics is truly about. Those are pretty much the main things I think you should know prior to going into this field. It really is a niche kind of market. There are positions out there. Some may be easier to get than others. Some may require more experience than others, but the amount of information on what they actually do and what they actually require to get in is very kind of vague, I found it. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.